Hey everybody, it's Greg Cope here, 605 Running Company. Yeah, we're here. It's race month. We're almost sold out, and we are nearing race day. I'm so excited to see all of you coming race day. I'm here at my house in what I call the pain cave. It also doubles as my office. So you can see treadmill in the background and a heavy bag, a couple other things. Yeah, life is good here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We had an amazing weekend. We had amazing weather. If we get that weather in 2 weeks, I will be super happy. But as you know, it's South Dakota, so just give it a little bit and see what happens. But wanted to go over a few things. I have a couple of great guests here today that we'll be chatting with later. I caught up with these two earlier this month. I was trying to work ahead. Amazing. Imagine that. So I'm excited for you to catch our interview with Tessa and Matt. I will save the rest of that for the actual interview spot, but they are incredible, and I'm hopeful. I know Matt's going to be here for sure, and I'm hopeful Tessa can be here as well. So stick around for the interview. It's a really, really good one. Super motivating. Skedaddle, like I said, is a weekend long experience here in Sioux Falls, and we try to cover runners of every ability. And I truly believe this, working in the running specialty industry, that no matter what your ability, as runners, we all go through a lot of the same stuff. And so both Matt and Tessa share incredible stories, of ups and downs in running and their collegiate stories. So a lot of good stuff to unpack in that interview. So please watch this all the way through. But I do have some race announcements that I want to cover before we get to that. I've had a lot of questions on a few things that I wanted to touch base with. I have a lot of thank yous to say. This has been quite the year, obviously. I mean, everyone knows what we are going through in the global pandemic and COVID, that world. And so the fact that we're going to be putting on this live race and all of the people that have helped make it come together, I am so appreciative of all of the hard work that has gone into this. And I'm seeing the light at the finish line. Truly, Skedaddle is a celebration of so much hard work, both all of you as athletes, us as event organizers. It's going to be a wonderful weekend. It's been, from a planning perspective, it's been like no other. There's no equivalency to what we've been putting together here. And I am really excited for all of you to experience Skedaddle weekend. So it's going to be great. But I've got some announcements I wanted to cover. First of all, packet pickup will be at the 60.5 Move Expo. This is going to be located in the Avera IT parking lot, which is right across the street from Faywick Park, which is right by our start line. Our start line is on 2nd Avenue. So we're closing 2nd Avenue down for the start of the race on Sunday morning. All of this stuff, the expo, the finish line, everything is happening in the same spot. Super duper easy to find. Ample parking. There are 2 giant parking ramps right there. If you're familiar with Sioux Falls, the Great Outdoor Store is right there. Lots of space to spread out. Everything's going to be outside. So this is going to be really a wonderful venue. And thrilled to be getting it set up for you. It's really coming together nicely. So the 60.5 Move Expo, even if you're not running, if you're just a follower of our YouTube page or our social media pages, the Running Shop, or Sioux Falls, and you're looking for something to do April 24th, come on down. We're gonna have it all. We've got lots of food options. We're gonna have food trucks. We're gonna have JJ's will be down there for a beverage tent. So lots of great different options there. Lots of food vendors. So bring the families down, get outside, enjoy downtown Sioux Falls. The food and beverage alone is worth the price of admission to the expo, which the price of admission is free. So just come on down and check it out. We're also going to have the 605 Running Company. Our store will be open, our normal business hours, but we're moving. It's like we're going to have 2 stores a block apart from each other, but we've got some vendors coming into town, Skechers Performance and Falca Socks. So we'll have representatives there. We're going to have special, Falca, we're launching that sock line, and then Skechers, they just came out with the Razor XS, which is an incredible new shoe. It is the official race shoe of the Skedaddle. We're gonna have those there. We're gonna have the Razor 3, the Razor Plus, and the Forza. So I can talk shoes for days, as you all know. That is my main gig, talking shoes and fitting people for shoes. So we're gonna have that there, and you're gonna be able to shop Skedaddle swag and 605 Running Company swag at the expo. And then also it is a health and wellness expo. So we've got some incredible health and wellness vendors down there. We've got Avera Sports Science is going to be there. We're also going to have Orange Theory and Anytime Fitness. So lots of activity going on. And then for kids, we're going to have some inflatable bouncy activities for them to do and burn off some energy. As a dad, I know how important that is. So bring the kids down. There's a dog park right there, the Kirby Dog Park. So you can bring the whole family and the dog down, and everyone can get active. That's the whole idea of this expo. Also runners, that's packet pickup. So come down and get your packets, get ready for race day. It's going to be awesome. Like, it's really coming together to be something really, really unique, a unique race day experience or pre-race experience. So the 60.5 Move Expo, I can't tout it enough. Everyone come on down and check this out. It's going to be a great time in downtown Sioux Falls. And again, all outdoor. We've got lots of room to spread out. We will have hand hygiene stations. Poet has provided us with some great hand sanitizer for our hand hygiene stations. So those will be set up, and we've got activities, we've got food, we've got beverage. There's the dog park, stuff for kids to do. You can shop. I mean, honestly, this is where it's at. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's going to be a good time. I wanted to talk a little bit about race day now. So I'm getting a lot of reoccurring questions. Now, every Thursday, we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. We're sending out information about race day to participants. If you're not getting those emails, check your spam folder, but you should be getting those emails about race day. But I have some reoccurring questions coming up. And so, as I've mentioned all the way along, and I do often when I speak about our store, 605 Running Company, or our race management stuff, transparent, reliable, fun. You can count on those things from us. And so I want to just clear some things up and make sure you're aware of what's happening on race day. Okay, so first I want to start with our start line. So when you signed up for Skedaddle, you provided us with an expected finish time. And so that's part of that registration process. You might not have remembered, especially if you registered a while ago, but so that is how we're going to build out these corrals. Now, this isn't going to be a Boston Marathon corral or a Houston Marathon corral where it's fenced off. We're going to have signage and pacers at this race. So we have a full-fledged pace team. Pacers will be at the expo. I forgot to mention that, but we've got pacers that will be available for you to chat with at the expo, and they're gonna be experts in this start line setup as I talk through it. So there's gonna be a lot of questions about it. But again, one thing that I'm really proud of in our setup for this event is the amount of outdoor space that we are able to utilize to keep everyone, give everyone the ability to exercise social distance and still participate in an activity and have fun. COVID is still a real thing in this world, and we understand that, and that's why we have these mitigation efforts in place. So, as I was saying, you provided a start or an expected finish time, and so you will be assigned a corral, but it's not going to be hard fence corrals that corral you into one spot. Our pacers are going to be part of that corral process. We're going to be spread out on 2nd Avenue where the start line is. So find your pacer or your expected finish time, and that's going to be associated with the corral that we send out to you. So if you ran Sioux Falls Marathon or half marathon in the fall, it's going to be kind of like that. It's only a little different. So it's an open start. It's going to be a start like any other race. We are chipped time. I've got Precision Race Management. Alan out of Omaha is going to be timing our event, and he's got a lot of cool stuff that comes along with his services that I'm going to talk about. But for that start line, Thursday, the 22nd, before race day, is when those corrals will come out and will be assigned. So you'll know, you'll have an idea of where you're supposed to go for the start line. Again, that Avera IT building, the Faywick Park area, that's our start line area as well. So you should, by the time you've gone through the Health and Wellness Expo on Saturday, you should have a good lay of the land on where you'll be going for the start. So we've done that. We've been very, very intentional about how we've set this up so that it makes sense for everyone. And if you ever have any questions, you can always email me, greg@run605.com. I'm trying to get back as quickly as possible to everyone. A couple other things I want to clean up. So this is a big race. We're on city streets, and there's a lot of liability that comes along with this. So we do not allow strollers, and we do not allow dogs on the race course. So you can't bring your dog to run. You can't push a stroller in our event. Logistically, it's just too complicated. Now, that being said, bring the family down. The dog park's right there. So dogs have a place that they can go and play and, again, be active. So we really wanted to include the whole family in this. So I understand that, some of you like to run with your dogs, I push a stroller on a regular basis. So I understand what that's like, but because the way this race is set up, the way our course is laid out, it's just a little too tricky to do that. That's pretty normal for races of this size and what we're doing here. So covered start line, I've covered the strollers and the dogs. I've covered the expo. Now I wanted to talk about aid stations. So on the course, we've got aid stations roughly every 2 miles. So we have 6 total aid stations on the course. And here's what's going to be at the aid station. It's going to look a little different. Again, this is COVID driven and what we've got going. So our aid stations, we will not have any like premixed Powerade or anything like that. We're going to have bottles of water, 10-ounce bottles of water spread out. Runners, as you come up to the tables, we will have volunteers there, but they're not going to be handing you stuff. Again, we're trying to lower those touch points because we're doing the best we possibly can under the circumstances. And so these tables will be spread out along the aid station. There will be 10-ounce bottles of water that you can grab. Our volunteers will grab those bottles. They'll have gloves and be able to take care of those things afterwards. But I'm thankful for our support that we've gotten from Coca-Cola, who's going to be providing those bottles of water, which is really great. And then we will be making sure to recycle all of those things. So we're doing the best we possibly can there for the circumstances. We will, again, those will be on tables. You'll be able to come up and grab them as a participant. They won't be handed to you. So be prepared for that. We're going to spread it out so that you've got the opportunity without a lot of congestion to get to those tables and get some hydration. At aid station number 2 and number 4, we will also have tables with goo on them, so you can get a goo packet as you go by. Again, those will be spread out on a table, and it will be your responsibility to grab those. So we're trying to lower those touch points and make it easy for you to be able to get those types of things, but we won't have any premixed Powerade or anything like that. So if that's something you require for running, make sure you are prepared. We don't have any restrictions on carrying water bottles or wearing a hydration pack. So, some races won't let you do that, but you can do that for sure. So you can bring your own aid as you go. But at each one of those aid stations, we will have first aid available as well. Falls area bicyclists have volunteered. They're going to be our lead cyclists. So we're going to have lead cyclists in the front, and then we will have some cyclists sweeping the course as well, along with emergency medical services as well. So I just wanted to clear all that up. Again, if you have any questions, greg@run605.com. This will also be included in those Thursday emails as well that we've been sending out. So we've been very intentional about communicating thoroughly all of this stuff because while we're trying to make it as normal as possible, there's just no way that it can be completely normal to what we've come to expect for races. But hey, it's a live race, and we've made some adaptations, some changes to make it so that we can do it successfully and safely. Our course is USATF certified, so we're excited for that. It is, we've had it officially measured. And when they measure the course, they take the shortest possible route that you can run on the course. So don't come to me on race day, especially if you're in a corral further back from the start line and you start your watch prior to getting to the start line. It is measured, it's accurate, I promise, I assure you. we've paid to have it measured, so it is good to go. It's going to be a fun route. I'm really excited about this route. You're going to go by the State Theater. You're going to run on Phillips Avenue. We're going to go down Summit, which goes past the University of Sioux Falls, Augustana. We're going to go by the Butterfly House, around the outdoor campus, past Yankton Trail Park and Spencer Park, which are just beautiful parks to run through, in my honest opinion. Cherry Rock Park, and then we're going to finish in Faywick Park. Our finish line is like tree lined. It's kind of like you're finishing in a small little urban forest, which is beautiful. And then our finish line is going to be well spread out. So when you finish, you'll be able to keep moving. So we're going to spread out those finish line things. So you'll have water and then keep moving, and you'll get your medal and keep moving. We've done that intentionally to spread things out, again, to make the safest possible experience. And so that finish line is spread out for a little bit. So just keep on moving, keep relaxing. It's always good to walk after a long run anyway. And then get yourself back to that expo grounds where we will have, again, the food trucks and the beverage tent and all that stuff. So that's what I got for race announcements. Again, I'm hoping you've stuck around because this interview is great today with both Tessa and Matt. Real quick, I just wanted to thank all of our amazing sponsors that have made this happen. I've got a long list of them, and I just want to intentionally call them out. First and foremost, the team at Avera. Avera Health has been phenomenal. The sports science, the Avera team, the foundation has been really helpful with volunteers and things like that. So Avera has been they've been a sponsor. They've been with us for quite a while, and they keep coming back and putting their trust in us to put on a great event, and that means the world to us. We've partnered with the event company this year. Addie and her team are amazing. They've done a ton to help us get this designed and put together. First National Bank is another organization that's been with us for a very long time, and they continue to support us in the best possible way. Click Rain, also extremely helpful in terms of the promotions of this. Breadsmith, Susie at the Breadsmith has been phenomenal to work with, and also my parents at the Cookie Jar. So again, I say food, we're gonna have lots of really, really good food, so that's great. Results Radio has been phenomenal in helping us get the word out about Skedaddle. Empower You, those guys, we just had them down at the shop. They did a myofascial release class, and if you can say that 10 times fast, trust me, it hurts that much more, but it hurts so good. It was a great class, and those guys really know what they're doing. So the folks at Empower You, they're going to be at the 605 60.5 Move Expo. You'll get to meet them in person, and they're going to do some demonstrations on stage. Awesome guys, very, very knowledgeable. All of our runners really need to check them out. Orange Theory, Anytime Fitness, both of those are excellent gyms that are going to be there. Poet, I mentioned, they're helping us out with hand sanitizer. Ag Realtors have supported our event. We really appreciate that. Experience Sioux Falls has been extremely supportive of us and getting this put together. Ashley Thompson with Kellerland Living, our first time runner experience. If you haven't been following along with Ashley, it's been amazing, her journey. We're excited to see her run Skedaddle. 605 Private Coaching, both Benson and Jackie have been phenomenal in terms of helping us out in anything we're doing. Benson's helped us recruit our elite athletes like Matt and Tessa, who we're going to talk to today. He's put together a lot of really cool packages for them. The Downtown Holiday and City Center, Michelle and her team, Michelle was on this show. They've been huge in helping us provide our vendors and our elite athletes with a great place to stay for the weekend. And then Coca-Cola helping out with the water and some signage and ice and things like that. So tons of incredible sponsors. I'm sure I'm probably missing someone, but I'm so thankful. And it's going to be a great race. It's a great month. If you haven't registered yet, space is limited, so get it done now. Do it right now, and then come back and watch this interview because we are predicting a sellout. And once we hit our number, we will close registration down. So be prepared for that. That's all I got, guys. Enjoy this interview. Have a great day. Again, if you have any questions, email me, greg@run605.com.
My guest this evening, I'm excited to have both of them here. I have the first champions of our race. So to give you a little bit of a history, our race started in 2018. It was the 605 half marathon. And both of these amazing athletes were our winners the very first year, and they are both scheduled to come back and run in the Sioux Falls Skedaddle. Matt, I believe, has run it every single year, and Tessa You know, that first year you were working at the shop, that was a ton of fun. We made a lot of memories. That was sort of Tessa saying, "Hello world, I'm running again." And so that was exciting. So thank you both for being here. I'm gonna have you guys introduce yourselves, and I'll just point to you, and you can tell me who you are and a little bit about you. So Matt, why don't you get us started? Just tell us who you are and where you come from.
Sure. Matt Horan, born and raised in Sioux Falls. You know, didn't start running actually until freshman year of high school, when I decided to go out for track and ran the mile and liked it, and then went out for cross country the next year, and then it all kind of just fell into place from there at Roosevelt. Then ran at college at University of Sioux Falls. Really enjoyed it there. Had a great time there. And then just kind of been trying to keep up running ever since, and always love it. I always loved to run races in Sioux Falls, like Skedaddle, and I've done the Sioux Falls Full and all kinds of good stuff like that. And I also work at Ide Bailey in downtown Sioux Falls, so I work about a 30-second walk away from the store, which is nice. So I can always stop by the store and pick up shoes on like a quick 10-minute break or something. So that's also really convenient.
Convenient or dangerous, I
both.
would say. So Matt,
both.
you know, we're going to get into this a little bit more, but you have an incredible running pedigree. Like your record speaks for itself and all of your accomplishments. But lately, most people know you as, who's that other guy that ran with Benson in the Boston Virtual Marathon? That was you.
I was lucky enough just to get to jump in with Benson. You know, Benson being a good friend was like, "Hey, you know, Matt, do you want to jump in here? We got this whole route set up and gonna have a bunch of people show up." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll just hop in that," not knowing that I was gonna get there and there'd be like 100 people there cheering and stuff. And I just kind of snuck in there last second, was able to run with it. So it's been kind of funny to people. I've had that happen a couple of times where people are like, "I know you from somewhere. Did you run with that Benson guy?" And it's like, yep.
Yeah. Believe me, Matt, I'm very, very used to. Do you know that Benson guy? Is that like, you know, that connection? I'm very used to that. I get it, Matt. So
yeah.
Tessa, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what have you been up to? Obviously, you worked at. Well, I'll just let you tell. Just you tell us. I will just be quiet.
Yeah, so I grew up in Watertown, South Dakota, and grew up running starting at a young age to grandma's house, and then ran competitively, you know, through middle school, high school. Kind of latched on to running in college, and that's actually where I met Matt. Was I started at USF. Kind of struggled with some injuries and stuff through high school or through college. Took a few years off, and then I always had kind of that inkling dream in the back of my head to run a marathon. So as Greg said, one of my first training cycles to be a marathoner, I competitively raced the 6:05 running co half marathon. And that was kind of the day when we said, "Oh boy, I think we're going to do this." And so it was kind of the epitome start of my competitive running, I'll say, in adulthood. And then after that, you know, went on to grandma's marathon, and then have ran, I think, 5 marathons since then. With kind of my biggest achievement so far being the Olympic Trials Marathon last February. So really excited to return to the Skedaddle and to be back in Sioux Falls, because as Greg said, I did work there for a few years between college and beginning PA school about a year and a half ago in August of 2019. So been continuing to train and race when I can through school, but it definitely poses its challenges.
Absolutely. So, I have, you know, we're going to try to keep it short, but I could talk to both of you guys all night long about running and some of the things you guys have been a part of, because you both have been able to run around the country in different places, and both have, you know, obviously a special place in your heart for Sioux Falls, which I think is great. But Matt, I wanted to ask you a question. So recently I had Tyler Morey on here, who is coming to run Skedaddle. He's our Falca sock rep, but he has run in Sioux Falls before. And he was a collegiate runner. He ran at Clemson, and then he ran at in Wisconsin for a D3 school and was an All-American. And we talked about struggles after school, once he got out of school, of finding that passion to run. And if you're willing to share, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about your story. When you got out of school, obviously you had a decorated career at USF, and then once you got out of school, where were you at with running, and what kind of relit that fire to sort of get back into it competitively?
Yeah, so when I graduated college, so first off, I'll say I've been blessed that I really haven't struggled a whole lot with injuries through the course of my career. But my senior year, my last 5th year of college, I kind of started to struggle with injury. And I think I just had run so many miles that I was just burnt out, and I ended up having some hammy and quad issues, and I wasn't able to run indoor track a whole lot, missed conference, and then kind of rushed back into outdoor because that was going to be it for me. So I kind of raced outdoor season, but it didn't really go well because I just wasn't healthy. So at that point, my body was so run down that I took a solid probably 6 months after I graduated I'd run once, maybe twice a week. So it was going, 5 to 10 miles a week, if that. And I just felt like for me, my body needed that break. I just run for so long. And then it was Grant Watley, who used to be a part of 605 running company and all that stuff, who my former college coach had reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to start running at 605? We're trying to get a race crew and a group of people, a group set up for runners. Do you want to come and run? And I said, yeah, sure. I was at that point, it was in the fall, the year after I graduated, and I had pretty much recovered from my injuries, and I was like, I think I'd be ready to start running again. And I remember the first time we went on a run at 605, we did like a 5-mile run up this big hill, and it about killed me going a slow pace. And I was like, man, I got a ways to go. I need to get back. But it was just really having Grant reach out, and then I had some other former college buddies and group runs at 605 and stuff like that kind of helped rekindle some of that fire to get back in training again. And kind of also then once I started to do some more, I did another half marathon after that. And there's just nothing quite like running a big race like that, a half or a full marathon, and running with thousands of other people and people cheering you on. And so all of that just kind of got that fire lit and back into me to want to get back running and training again.
Yeah, and that has led to some pretty good success in both the half marathon and the marathon distance. As I mentioned, champion of our first half marathon that we put on, and that day it was so interesting watching both of you run, because Tessa, you sort of took things out, and you were leading that race, and then Matt, true to form, Matt is such a disciplined runner. He has the most impeccable race strategy ever, and I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah.
And Matt, tell me a little bit about what your race strategy looks like, and what is it about you that has you just so disciplined to say, this is how I'm going to run this race, and no one's going to push me off of my plan?
I usually tell myself that's going to happen, and sometimes it doesn't. But I just found in high school and college that the best way for me racing is to start conservative, don't go out too fast, and kind of stay competitive the first half, but then really kind of try to negative split and kick it into gear in the second half. I just kind of found that was what was best for me racing strategy wise. And so in these half and full marathons, there's such long races that it only takes the mistake once of going out too fast in a half or a full marathon and then burning and crashing the second half to say, I don't ever want to do that again. That was awful. That is terrible. So it's just kind of experience, and all my best races pretty much from college, half and full, are ones where I took off in a pace that was comfortable and then slowly picked it up from there. It's just kind of what has worked and been the best for me.
It's really fun to watch. And so, folks, when you come out and you watch the Skedaddle, if you see Matt in the first half of the race, not in the front of the pack, don't worry, he's not done. Like, trust me, he'll be there. I've seen it time and time again. And he says it only takes one time to go out too fast and you'll never do it again. But I beg to differ, because I have done it countless times and still do it to this day. So that discipline is truly remarkable. Tessa, let's chat a little bit. I need to get some feedback from you because it's been a while since we chatted. But so Olympic trials, just a small thing. Tell me a little bit about that experience and what was that like? Because we haven't really gotten to talk about it too much.
Yeah. Wow. To think that that was, over a year ago, and it really was like the last big sporting event before COVID kind of took over our world. It seriously was the most incredible experience I think any runner could have, not only to race, but just to be there to watch and to be part of the event. Atlanta Track Club did an incredible job making us all feel, welcome. They really made all of us feel like, elite athletes. They were so warm and welcoming. Literally from the second you stepped off the airplane, it felt like an incredible opportunity, and it was. The race, I came in very unprepared. I'll be honest. With PA school, it was like the bulk of my education, and I was going to bed at midnight and trying to wake up at 4:15 to run, and spending all day on campus studying, and I just kind of had to buckle down and get school done. But I still obviously just knew it was a huge opportunity to get to the race. So my biggest goal was to finish, and that's what I did. And I just soaked up the whole weekend. I had an incredible group of friends and family that came down. I will never forget them being there. I literally got goosebumps like every single time I saw them, even if I was walking.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be walking in the Olympic trials, but it was a brutal day for a lot of people. The wind, the hills was very challenging, and then also being undertrained. But I just tried not to focus on that and just kind of soaked up being there.
Yeah. So we're talking, discipline with Matt's race strategy, but honestly, we're going to back up a little bit and talk a little bit more about your story. But, to think about PA school and, training for a marathon, that's just incredible. You're such an inspiration. I want you to know, I still to this day have people come into the store and ask about you and check in on you and want to know how you're doing. And you really have lit a fire under our community. They're just so dang proud to, know Tessa, and, our Tessa ran in the trials. That's what people say. It's pretty incredible. So I asked Matt a little bit about his, post-collegiate career. You didn't get to have a lot of a collegiate career. Tell me a little bit about that, Tessa. And, we talk about this discipline and this inspiration stuff, but there was a time where, running might not have been in your future at all. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Right. Yeah. College was a really difficult time for me. Starting at USF, I had a fair cross country season, but I think the training kind of just made it brutal for me to show up on race time ready because of kind of the big jump in the capacity of training. And then I kind of was dealing with some really difficult healing fractures in the shaft of my femur for about a year and a half. And so I ended up kind of just taking a step back and then transferring to SDSU, where I had hopes to run, but I just could not get my bones recovered. So that was when I kind of said, I have known myself, and all of my coaches have always told me that I will be a lifelong runner. And I really took that to heart, and I knew that, and it was inspiring for me to hear that from them. So I knew that if I need to take a year off now, it will benefit me later. Even though it was probably one of like the most disheartening things, to do, but I became a really pathetic swimmer for like a year. Taught myself to swim in the pool, and I was really proud of that, just to pick up on a new sport, because I'd really never done, a lot of other sports besides running for years. But yeah, so college kind of broke my heart a little bit with competitively racing. So when I started back up again, I think it was just a big goal of mine to just show myself that I could do it again, and to just find that passion, because I did get a little bit beat up mentally from, a year and a half of trying to overcome this injury. And then, I could never get over it. So my biggest thing was just to find the passion and to do it myself, and to say that I could do it. So I've really hung on to that. Sometimes I look back and, I can feel a little bit like of pity for myself or something, that I didn't get to show my potential in college, or to see where that would have taken me. But it's also, I think, a big blessing in disguise that I kind of just saved my legs and body for later. Because Like my first half marathon pace wise was faster than any race pace I'd ever ran in college. So who knows how that happened, but it's a pretty cool thing to start and to come off that way.
Incredible. It's such an incredible story. Every time I hear you talk about that, and like to see where you've gone, you know, you're both so talented and such hard workers. I think it's really, really cool. I'll never forget the day that you walked through the door at 605 Running Company, Tessa, and you're like, Grant, I think I want to run. And Grant's like, well, okay. And you know, who knew that interaction would lead to so much, you know, and, you know, obviously we got to know each other, and, you know, every single run, and there are a few people I can say this about, but Tessa, I can say this about you. Every single run I've gotten to go on with you has been super memorable. Like I remember it to a T, and almost all of them have been like really successful, just because you have this personality that makes running seem really, really easy. And so, you know, like my fastest 10-mile race, I ran the first 3 miles with you. And I was like, well, if Tessa can keep going, like, why can't I do this? You know, so incredible story. And it just, it gives me all the feels. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to ask both of you is, we have some first-time half marathoners coming to this race. This is their first race that they're going to do. And for a lot of people, it's the first race they're going to do in over a year because of the pandemic. So I want to hear your best advice for a first-time half marathoner. And I'm going to let you start, Matt. You tell me, what is your best advice for a first-time half marathoner?
Okay. Don't sprint the first mile. It's okay, like I said, to go out slow, but also don't be checking your watch every 5 minutes. I'd say just go out and enjoy it, have fun, and don't be too set on hitting a certain pace. Just kind of go, I'd say go based off more on feel and how everything's feeling, and just enjoy it, soak it in, and just know that trust the training you've done and you'll be fine. Just don't go out super fast the first 3 miles and then say to yourself, oh, I still have 10 miles to go. Oh boy.
Oh, where have you been my whole life, Matt? I feel like I could have used that advice so many times over. But excellent stuff. Yeah, the race really is a celebration of the training for sure. So Tessa, now that we got that out of the way, what's your advice for a first-time half marathoner?
Yeah, I love this question because it brings back like those pre-race feels to me every time, no matter how many times I've raced. And I feel like I definitely don't have as much race experience under my belt as Matt does. But I think the biggest thing for any race, especially a half or a longer race, is to just make sure that you're soaking up all of the energy that the course and the participants provide. And also just support everybody out there. You know, everybody has a story that brought them to the start line. And like you said, it's really the journey of the training that kind of sets the tone for race day. No matter what happens on race day, you have done the majority of the work before getting there. And now is the time, you know, that your race can be the celebration. So I love soaking up the energy. I love just taking every mile as a proud one and just being firm in your steps and knowing, you know, your why out there and your reason for race day. So like you said, just it's all about celebrating. And I love what Matt talked about with being patient in a race, because that is so key, and it will just make it a memorable, positive experience.
Excellent. Very good advice. Now, we have, you know, as of today, we've got, you know, almost 600 people registered to run Skedaddle, which is pretty exciting. Of those 600 people, only, you know, one person gets to win the race, and both of you have experienced this. So I want you to describe what it's like to cross the finish line and you won the race, because that's something I don't think, you know, unless I'm going to race my daughter, and even that is questionable if I'm going to beat her, but I don't think I'll ever experience that. So I want to hear in your words, what is it like to cross a finish line and actually win a foot race? Matt, I'll let you go first again.
Sure. I guess just the feeling of satisfaction, knowing that, just to see all your hard work pay off, I guess, knowing that you've put in all this work and to see it come to fruition is pretty awesome. It's, they say that runner's high, well, the ultimate runner's high is when you cross the finish line, hit a PR and won the race. That's kind of hard to describe. That initial, 10 minutes after crossing the finish line, you're kind of on cloud nine, like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. But it's kind of hard to put into words, I guess. But yeah, it's good.
Very, yeah, almost shocking or surprising. And I think,
yeah.
watching Tessa come through, your facial expressions are incredible. And, like in Fargo, there's this beautiful photo of Tessa finishing in Fargo, and her face almost says like, really, where's everyone else? Like, Tessa, tell me about your experiences in finishing races like that.
Yeah, I think like Matt said, it's kind of like an out of body experience for like 10 to 15 seconds. But I think the part when I realize it is even, in those longer races, it's like the last mile or the last half a mile that like, I'm literally getting goosebumps just thinking about these race moments that I've had, whether it was 605 or Fargo or like the Chicago Marathon for me, like I can still vividly remember what I felt like in those moments. But it's like for the whole last mile when you're like, wow, we're doing this thing. And just, I don't know, a lot kind of just flashes into your brain that, you can't believe it. And I love talking about endorphins. I think endorphins this is like the sciencey part of me, but I think endorphins are like one of the most powerful tools that we have as runners. And, a lot of runners have, a lot of small moments, but it's the one big one that you work at for a really long time, that you have been, dreaming about, that makes it the most memorable. So I think, like Matt said, crossing the finish line in first place with a PR as a champion is a pretty awesome out of body feeling.
Well, as if either of you need any motivation, this year I'm excited to tell both of you that if by chance you do win the Skedaddle, you're going to get more than chocolate milk this go around. So we've got some pretty cool prize packages put together. So as if you need any incentive, but Matt, tell me, I see the treadmill in the background there. Tell me a little bit, how's your training been? And, what are you looking to come in? You can talk about it as much or as little as you want, but what are you thinking about for Skedaddle in terms of expectations, goals, maybe an A goal or a B goal, or, how much would you like to share? Don't tip your hand too much, but what are you thinking about come Skedaddle time?
Sure. So the unfortunate timing of Skedaddle is it comes right after my busiest time at work. Me being in the public accounting industry, about mid-January to mid-April, I'm putting in a lot of hours at work. So it's sometimes hard to find time to get all the training in that I want to. So my training hasn't quite been what I've hoped it would have been the past couple months. But basically for Skedaddle, I'm just hoping to go out there, be competitive, and try to run close to maybe within a couple minutes of my all-time PR. So I'm not going to set super high expectations. I'm just going to go out there, compete, and just have fun and enjoy running an actual big race with people and a crowd and stuff. So I'm just going to soak in that experience because it's try not to take those for granted because, man, the pandemic comes on and you go a full year almost without being able to do that. And it's like, oh, it itched to go do that again.
I like it. Tessa, we've had some conversations about this. So we've mentioned it more than once, PA school, you are a very, very busy lady. So I always say at 605 Running Company, you probably helped develop these. So we're transparent, reliable, and fun. So tell me a little bit about where you're at. Did I see you ran 20 miles today?
I did.
Okay, so I want to lead with that, and then let's just talk about it. Let's get into it. Where you at, Tessa? Tell me. You're in Omaha right now. You've been working super hard. You're really really smart, and that's always been intimidating to me. But I'm used to it. But just lay it on me. What's the deal with Skedaddle?
Yeah, so I have about 10 to 12 solid weeks of training under my belt, which isn't as much as I would hope, but I am liking what I'm seeing with my training and kind of where I'm at with my base. Like you said, I did a 20-mile long kind of hard effort today, and I had a 18 on Sunday. So I'm feeling really strong right now. I don't know how fast, my speed work is going to be for a half marathon, but I do think I have a really good base of miles. But like Matt said, I am just really itching to race and to just be in that environment. And I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is to be back in Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is kind of the anchor of my running. And so I'm just really excited to be back on those, the trails and the roads that I ran for those years with a lot of special people. I'm really excited about that. So, but as you talked about, I am starting my cardiology rotation for PA school on Monday. And so I'm currently unsure if my schedule will allow me to race on Skedaddle day, but I'm super hopeful. And quite honestly, my school at UNMC has been so supportive of my marathoning journey, and letting me continue that passion and to make it to race day. So I'm really hoping that I can make it work that weekend and that I will be able to be there.
Yeah, so we've got our fingers crossed, and we're planning on it. You're obviously training for it, so it's important for everyone to understand. Life happens, and in the field that you're going into, the hospitals, they never close. They're always open. There's always a need for our amazing medical professionals, and so we get it, Tessa. You only get to go to school once, and you have been doing an amazing job. Like I've said multiple times tonight, you are an inspiration to a lot of people. So we get it, and if you're here, we're thrilled. And if you're not here, we know that you're here in spirit. And so we're thrilled to have you lined up for Skedaddle. And again, I thank both of you for coming on tonight. There's so much more I could talk about, but we've covered a ton of stuff tonight, and I'm excited. I'm excited to put on the Skedaddle. I'm excited to see you guys in person again, and to see people running in Sioux Falls on the streets again. I think it's going to be a great time. So final question for the evening, and I want you to think a little bit about this. So Skedaddle route, we've got a lot of amazing landmarks in Sioux Falls. There's the State Theater, there's the University of Sioux Falls, there's Augustana, there's the outdoor campus, Butterfly House, Spencer Dog Park, Faywick Park with the Statue of David. What is the landmark you're most looking forward to running past when it comes on to Skedaddle Day? So I will talk a little bit more so you guys can, I see you're both thinking, keep thinking quickly, because eventually I'm going to say, Matt, what are you most looking forward to run past on Skedaddle Day?
Well, for me, honestly, it's probably just the University of Sioux Falls, because me being an alum there, it's just to see old coach. I do feel old though, because I am now old enough that I have not run with any USF athletes that are currently running there. So I won't recognize a whole lot of the cross country and track athletes there, but it will be nice to see some familiar coaches. And I haven't been on the campus a whole lot the past year. So I'm looking forward to running past just my old stomping grounds and getting to see some familiar faces.
Are you going to wear a USF singlet on race day?
I usually stick with 605.
Good answer.
Running singlet. So better. I've had some good races in those, so I don't want to jinx anything, right?
We'll have to see if we can print a cougar on one of them. I think that would bridge the
That'd be
gap.
awesome.
All right, Tessa, you're coming back to Sioux Falls. You're running the Skedaddle. What are you gonna? What's gonna fire you up on race day that you're gonna run past and be like, it's go time?
Absolutely. That's really hard. I love anything downtown, but quite honestly, when you mention the outdoor campus and the Butterfly House, I have a lot of memories meeting Benson there for some really good runs. And I also just love that part of the bike trail because you've got, I don't know if we go over the bridges. Do we go over a bridge? I love that part. And then you just jump on the trail and it's nice and flat. You can see right where you're going. And hopefully you have a nice tailwind. And it's a nice part to sail.
It is. Yeah. You know, as I was telling Tessa, I remember the section that we ran, or that we will run for Skedaddle. Tessa, you know, after grandma's, you had a foot injury, And one of your first runs back, you were like, I'll come run with you and Coach Jackie. And we met at Lincoln High School and we ran on the section of bike trail. And you were just so bubbly after. You're like, I did it. I ran 10 miles. This is great. And I'm like, I kept up with Tessa for 10 miles. This is great. She's like, well, I'm injured and just coming back. I'm like, shh, don't tell anyone that. So memorable runs, good sections of the bike trail. I'm looking forward. Thank you both so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate your time, and keep on running.
Thank you, Greg, for all you've been doing for the Skedaddle, and it's going to be a great event.
Yep, thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.